At the very bottom, we have the body matter universe, which is the biophysical universe, which is also called the Pinda universe in yogic terms. In terms of the levels of consciousness, it relates to all the states between the very bottom of victim abuser all the way to the mid regions of self-empowerment. It correlates with the physical body as an aspect, since it is the biophysical universe. And the classical name is the Saguna Brahman. And Saguna means that which is in a form, in a shape. In the universe, the biophysical universe is the place of time, space, matter, energy that create the illusion of reality. It is where the daily life is lived for humanity, and the soul is trapped by the five senses. So this, we may say, is a very much the 3D and the lower 4D aspects of the universe where people are trapped. Their soul is trapped by the five senses. In order to rise upwards, we need to go beyond the five senses. And that's where we enter the subtle region of the universe, the second layer in the chart, which correlates from the higher levels of self-empowerment into awakening to inner light and all the way to inner love and unity consciousness. It is called the Anda universe, the astral universe, which is the lower 4D all the way up to the higher 4D. And it is where the other three lower bodies reside in terms of yourself, the astral body, emotional, and the lower etheric body, the lower mental body. And also on a higher note or the higher aspect of this huge slice of the universe is where you meet your higher self. You awaken to inner light, you meet your higher self. It is also belonging to the Saguna Brahman, to the universe of form and matter. Polarities and dualities exist here, from the lower dark to the higher light, love, and oneness. It is a place of all psychic phenomena and magic and spirits and so on. This is where astral projections occur at the lower states, various occult teachings, and all the extremities of the dark and the light playing together. At the higher regions, it comes to inner love and unity. It becomes more brighter, more loving. But there are still polarities existing. One day you feel at oneness with everything, and the other day something very challenging comes up and some deep, dark healing occurs. This is how it happens in practicality, and it is a place of dualities, polarities that most of you have also experienced. The beautiful inner love, but also a lot of healing occurs here too. Then we move into the third region of the universe. It is the cosmic region. The category is already a cosmic category. the cosmic consciousness. As a level of consciousness, it correlates to presence and non-duality. And as a plane or as a aspect of the universe, is called the causal universe, the Brahmanda universe. It is where you start to connect. I emphasize you begin to connect with your I am presence, and you begin to access more directly your soul. You begin to access your I am presence and your soul. It still belongs to the Saguna Brahman. And many traditions refer that this is the place of God, the Brahmanda, because in this region, it is also a causal region, or the lower unconsciousness, in simple terms, the causal body, the lower unconsciousness. And once the meditators pass through it, they believe that that is the enlightenment, that that's where the Brahman is. Many yogic lineages, lower yogic lineages, refer to the Brahman as the supreme being. And thus, once they pass the lower unconsciousness, they see a beautiful, great light and assume that's the last stage, that's it. The spiritual journey has finished. However, as we may see, this is just a third step along the journey, the third region, the third major region along the journey. So it is a god of some traditions. That's where also the Akashic records are in the lower causal or cosmic universe. And soul is releasing its karmic patterns. It is the source of philosophy, ethics, moral teachings, many of the spiritual insights and concepts. It is the universal mind power, the cosmic consciousness. Very often, we may say that it is an illusion of finding God and heaven. And if one stays here, there is still the negative polarity, and the duality still plays a role, although one may already come into non-duality and assume they're beyond that, but still there is a negative current playing out in the cosmic universe itself. Also, it is the lower unconsciousness, and it is also the region of the mental plane, or the mind, where it begins and expands into the upper region of the universal consciousness. So many peep into the Brahman and see this universal light and may assume that's it. So then we access the fourth region, the supra-cosmic plane. And as a level of consciousness, that is awareness. And it is called the Para-Brahmanda. It is actually a mental or the purely etheric universe, Para-Brahmanda. Now, many of you in the yogic traditions, you know that is the ultimate goal. The Para-Brahmanda is the ultimate, or Param Shiva is the ultimate. And of course, the light is bright, the light is intense, it envelops the whole universe, and it is the universal self. And in ascension teachings, it's the perfection of the individuated Buddhic Christ itself. The monad is the oversoul, the universal mind, the universal consciousness, the universal self. So it's very easy to experience this greatness and vastness of this light, which does power up the whole universe below. So thus many assume that this is the source of the universe. It is the light of all, of everything. And many settle at this place and they're very happy to be here. In a classical name, it's called Nirguna Brahman or Para-Brahman, meaning beyond the form or formless Brahman. Like awareness, it has no form, no shape. So thus, many assume that this is the absolute already. So this place is the God of most religions. It is a blueprint of perfection. It is the oversoul of the groups of souls and the structure of the universe. And the whole universe is seen in its full light, how it is. However, one is very aware at this stage of the positive and negative currents, electrical positive negative currents or streams that create the creation, that the creation is subject to. Although one may stay in awareness, but they will still experience the currents, positive, negative, and try to maintain their state in awareness. However, there are certain limitations here. So, not many, actually, if we take on a global scale, not many yogis move beyond that because they assume that this is the Para-Brahman, that this is the light of all lights, and there's no more reason to search anymore. It's a very fulfilling state. It's already great light already. And since one has already passed through the lower unconsciousness in the cosmic region, then one may assume that there is no more higher unconsciousness. So another limitation may arise, and one may say, I already passed the voidness, the nothingness, and already experienced my unconsciousness, the deeper aspects. However, there is a much greater void above that. And if one is willing to let go of this light of awareness, if one is willing to explore the totally unknown, even though experiencing all the all-knowing awareness, the all-knowing universal consciousness, because the whole universe is at one's fingertips if one really stays and integrates at the fourth plane or at the fourth region. If one somehow becomes more humble to know that's not the end and there is more than that, then one will enter a total voidness, the great void, the supra-cosmic region as well, which is the great unconsciousness. It is Nirguna Brahman, it is totally formless, it's the womb of the universe, and it is a barrier between the planes below and the pure spiritual planes above. And thus, this is where one exits the universe. exits the whole creation of the universe, the whole light that sustains the whole universe. There is a name for it. It's called Brahma Jyoti. And one enters the ocean of the universes. One enters the ocean of the universes. And that is a category of purely spiritual region or plane of existence. This is where one starts to sense the presence of divine, which is the pure spiritual aspect. As a plane, it's called the pure soul plane. There is a name for it, Sat Nam. This is where it begins, and then it goes up. And as a divine, it is, as an aspect, it is a divine, and it is already a liberated soul, a truly liberated soul, not abiding in the universe itself, not abiding in the greatness of the light of the universe. The soul leaves the universe, it goes above the universe, and thus it is already liberation of the soul, the dividing point. So the classical name for it is Purna Brahman. Purna means pure, the pure Brahman. This is very deep, that most advanced yogic lineages would have this knowledge of the divine and the gradients above. The description of this beginning of the purely spiritual plane is that it is where the real liberation is. It is the pure spirit, the experience of the pure spirit without the mind, the freedom and the individuality without the mind. So that's the first step. And pure being is another word. It is the higher self-realization. The lower self-realizations are in the supra-cosmic universal plane and the cosmic universal plane. These are the lower self-realizations. This is already the much higher self-realization, that this self is beyond the many regions of the Brahman, the Para-Brahmanda, and so on, and lower unconscious, higher unconscious. And the best word to describe it is divine. The second divine region is called invisible plane. It is also divine. The soul is liberated. It is a vast plane of yellow-white light, extremely blissful place of total joy, of total satisfaction. In most advanced yogic lineages, this would be defined as the highest possible bliss or the highest samadhi possible. Here also is a supreme creative energy, because the soul feels already fully liberated, totally in bliss, in joy, in complete satisfaction. There's not a single atom of negativity. There is not a single atom of cause and effect, not a single atom of error or mistake, if we look at it in that way, because anything above the universe itself is indestructible. It is eternal, indestructible. when we go into the universe below the great void, that is subject to cycles, to cause and effect, and it is destructible, it is dissolvable. Brahman and Shiva, Vishnu may decide to end the universe after some billions of years, and it will end. But as we come into the first divine region, then that is indestructible. Thus it's called the pure spiritual plane. So the soul is absolutely in bliss, free, and it doesn't want to leave that place. It's feeling totally satisfied, totally fulfilled. In every atom of the soul, it feels that it's completely one with the source, with God. There's not a single atom of separation. Again, one may assume that this is the final state, that's the highest bliss, and there's no separation, and thus there's no reason to go any above. However, as we can see, it is the second divine region. The third divine region is called the divine eternity, the love aspect. The divine love aspect is very present. The eternal aspect, it's an endless vast light. It's an endless divine eternity, and it's called the true home. The true home. Eternal, that it seems that everything begins, everything ends here, and it's endless, going forever and ever. Endless vast light. So when the soul enters this region, it starts to fully realize God, the love of God, the love aspect. There's no separation at all. This is where a much bigger power or love of God arises. And thus that pulls the soul to go even upwards into the fourth divine region, which is a lot about power, because the soul attains ability and realizes the creative potential to create the universes. So the soul itself realizes that it is God, and it has a power, and it can create its own worlds, its own universes. And thus it is the, the Lord of that universe. The universe that we are experiencing right now is the universe of Brahman, Vishnu, and Shiva. And thus, these are the great souls who have created this universe that we are now visiting. And we're checking it out. How is it in this bubble of experience? And at the divine plane, you do enjoy visiting other universes, experiencing them, and then you say, okay, maybe I'm ready to create my own universe. And now I know, have seen a lot of examples how others have made it and spent some millions and billions of years in those other universes, learned a lot, and now I feel the power, the creative ability to create my own universe. This is the region where soul realizes that and attains the powers to do that and to realize God in much greater degree, which is called inaccessible plane, because not all the souls get to this stage to attain these great powers. They can enter this region, but to attain those powers, of course, it's a big process of millions and billions of years. So thus not everyone does it, because many souls are very happy in the first divine planes and they feel absolutely joyous and blissed and fulfilled, loved, and they don't feel compelled to do more than that. But they become very curious of those other braver souls who have created the universes. And they become inspired by the greater souls to one day do the same. So then they become brave enough to enter the inaccessible plane. As a level of consciousness, it's called the truth consciousness, the supra-causal truth, because that's where the seed of universes are. On the accelerated awakening journey, we quickly go through these steps. We skim through it, we take the highway, the elevator, but that is akin to getting the fastest plane from London to Singapore or Sydney and passing through all of it on a plane flight and not witnessing much what's below. So this is a highway approach or the plane approach that we take. However, as all of you who have awoken to the first stage of divine or all the way to full consciousness, as you will be spending more and more time, and as you will be exploring much more in a much greater degree, you will start to differentiate even the divine regions and start seeing and experiencing as your integration and advancement proceeds. At the fourth divine stage, the soul may stay here for eons, for uncountable eons, enjoying, learning, experiencing, experimenting, creating own worlds, universes. And since here no mistake is done and no mistake is possible, it's all fine, it's all good, and it's truly the most creative process that you could ever imagine. As we go to the fifth divine region, to the very top two divine regions, it is correlated to the full consciousness and it's called nameless plane because it is beyond description, beyond language. We can't put any light description, any attribute, anything to it really. So this is a God realization and beyond. Now, this may be mind-boggling, but some may assume that God is in the cosmic region at the lower end of the scale. Many religions or yogic traditions assume that God is the light of the whole universe at the fourth stage of this chart. Therefore, at the highest region, it is a God realization and it's even beyond that because it's truly indescribable light, the most purest spirit of all, the formless and colorless. And in many ways, we may say that there is a light and a sound current or um, a life stream that sustains everything below it. For those of you aware of prana, prana is the life force energy, the life stream energy, but the name prana itself, it refers and is correlated to the cause-effect universe below the great void. Because above that, it is not called prana anymore, because it is the life stream. It is the light, the sound, the life stream that sustains everything, all the souls and all the universes below it. So it's much, much more than pranic energy as such. Some may say that is the source, but again, we differentiate to say that this is a life stream or the power that sustains everything below, all the universes below. And at the very top of the scale, we have the full consciousness, the ocean of love, mercy, and beyond. It is God in beyond state. It is absolutely indescribable, the most pristine ever, the Adi Sat plane, the absolutely formless, colorless, and important note is that this is still not the end. It is the top of the chart, but it is not the end, because it truly goes infinitely beyond. But we need to realize that the top of the chart is not a closing point. It's not the ending point, because it is infinitely beyond. So this is why you may now recognize the vastness of the divine.